What's up, people? This is your boy Troy, aka The Myth, aka The Resident Historian. This is a RealWrestleTalk.com exclusive. I will be doing a Clash of the Champions DVD review. I've been waiting to do this for a while, but just not got a chance to do it. So let's get started on the DVD. It's a good cover. Sting and Ric Flair from one of the different clashes. Not the original Clash, but from a different one. 3-disc set. So if you see me looking here and looking here, I'm looking at the DVD and I'm looking at the computer and I'm looking at the camera. So sorry if it's a little distracting. We're going to get to DVD 1, which has starts off with a little bit of the real story behind the Clash of the Champions. I wish they would have put more into the story. I mean, Dusty Rhodes give bits and pieces here and there about what's going on and why they did it, but when I get these type of DVDs, I want to hear the backstage stuff, why they did certain matches, why they didn't do certain matches, what was the thought process going in. And just for, you know, a little side note, Clash 1 took part March 27th, 1988 at Greensboro Coliseum in North Carolina. About 6,000 people in attendance. It drove 5.6 on the ratings. That aired the same day as WrestleMania 4, just to let you know. So the very first match on this one is Ric Flair versus Sting, which went to a 45-minute draw. It was supposed to go to a 60-minute draw, but they had time constraints and stuff like that. Very good match, you know. They were supposed to have that match to kick off the whole DVD, so they went right with that one. The second match is Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard versus Lex Luger and Barry Windham, which took place on the same Clash. Very good match. I would have chosen that one too. The third match, you know, and they go into what a whole year, and you know, Dusty Rhodes talks a little bit more, and then they go into the third match, which is Sting and Dusty Rhodes versus Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard. Another good match. Match only lasted almost 11 minutes, ended in disqualification. I would have rather them showed this, you know, some other stuff, like when the Horseman jumped Lex Luger, slammed his head into the trunk, which set up Luger versus Ric Flair, the Great American Bash, 1988. But overall, a good match. And then they jump to Clash 3, and the match they pulled off of there, which I have no idea why they used it, was Ricky Morton versus Ivan Koloff in a Russian chain match. Yeah. Don't know why they used it. I mean, they could have used Mike Rotunda and Brad Armstrong. They could have used Nikita Koloff and Dr. Death versus the Sheepherders. They could have used Dusty Rhodes versus Kevin Sullivan. If they wanted to throw another Sting match in there, they could have used Sting versus Barry Windham, you know. But they did it. So that was one knock against this one right there, was the Ricky Morton versus Ivan Koloff match. It was a dud of a match. It lasted 9 minutes and 52 seconds. And that's that, you know. And then they jump all the way to Ric Flair versus Terry Funk, which I believe is Clash 9. So they skipped Clash of the Champions 4. They skipped Clash 5. They skipped, you know, Clash 6, 7, 8, and they went to New York Knockout, which was the main event was Ric Flair versus Terry Funk in the I Quit match, which they should have used. I'm very happy they used that match. It brought together a cool storyline that had Sting and Ric Flair team up in a later match. Lex Luger attacked during the match. So, you know, pretty good, you know, match selection with Ric Flair versus Terry Funk. They went okay with that. And then they picked Mills Mascaras versus Cactus Jack Manson from Clash 10. And that was called the Texas Shootout. from Corpus Christi, Texas. Had 3,000 people in attendance. Drew a 4.5 ratings. This was the setup show for Wrestle War. Now, I think the only reason they used this match is because Mil Mascaras is in the Hall of Fame and Cactus Jack / Mick Foley is part of the WWE roster. What they should have done, they could have used the Road Warriors versus the Skyscrapers, which was Dan Spivey and Mark Callis, a.k.a. The Undertaker. They could have used the Steiners versus Doom. I mean, Ron Simmons is part of the Hall of Fame. They could have used the Horsemen, Ric Flair, Ole Anderson, Arn Anderson versus Gary Hart International, the Dragon Master Buzzsaw, and the Great Muta. That's where Sting hurt his knee. But they didn't. So, yeah, I wasn't too fond of the Mil Mascaras Cactus Jack match, but I understand why they used it. That match goes about 5 minutes long. Mil Mascaras wins with the flying body press. The next one they use is the Midnight Express versus the Rock and Roll Express from Clash of the Champions 11. Okay match. Happened June 30th, 1990. About 4,100 fans in attendance, 4.1 ratings. There was a couple different things they could have done with this one. I understand why they used the Rock and Roll Express, the Midnight Express, because they're both great tag teams. But they could have once again used Doom versus the Steiner Brothers. They could have used Paul Orndorff versus Arn Anderson for the TV title. So yeah, that's this one. Okay, this so far, kept me, entertained. This too, it starts out with, to be the man, you have to beat the man. Dusty Rhodes talks about Ric Flair. And the match that they use is Ric Flair versus Lex Luger. Sorry that I'm out of the screen. Ric Flair versus Lex Luger, Clash 12. Yeah, that was also the same clash where it was Sting's first title defense against the Black Scorpion. So yeah, I'd rather see Ric Flair versus Lex Luger. That's set up when Stan Hansen interferes in the match. Ric Flair's trying to win the belt to become the #1 contender for that belt. Hopefully I don't have to break this clip up into many different sections and stuff like that, because I'm kind of running low on time. Then the next match is from Clash 15. So now we're skipping a bunch of other clashes again. And we're going to the Young Pistols and the Z-Man versus the Freebirds with Bad Street, who was Brad Armstrong under a hood, which is a mask. I guess that's what they could have. I mean, they could have used Sting versus Nikita Koloff, the Steiner Brothers versus Masahiro Chono and Hiroshi Hase. They could have used Steve Austin versus Joey Maggs just to show Steve Austin. I would prefer they show Lex Luger versus the Great Muta. That would have been a great match. Or Ric Flair versus Bobby Eaton in a 23 Falls match. That was a great match. That's what they should have used instead of the Young Pistols and the Z-Man versus the Fabulous Freebirds. Next is the Clash of Champions Battle Royal. Why the hell would they put this on here? Beats me. I'm going to end it with talking about this, and then I'll start another segment in a couple minutes. But in this 15-man Battle Royal, they had El Gigante, Z-Man, Tommy Rich, Bobby Eaton, Ranger Ross, Tracy Smothers, Oz, PN News, Buddy Lee Parker, Steve Austin,